This conference will now be recorded.
So welcome to your Intro to Newton training. To start things off today, we'll begin on the home dashboard, but then we'll jump into your own account within Newton to review those admin settings that you, Jamie, have access to as the administrator. I'll also show you how to create a job on today's training, and then we'll wrap things up by going over your personal settings that you can access through this little gears icon in the top right-hand corner of the window, and our knowledge base as well that you have access to after the call. Now, with the home dashboard and what you're looking at now, this is what we like to call that air traffic control for hiring. So there's a lot of information provided right up front, but this is a great way to get an overview of your hiring process and see where everything stands at a higher level. All of your open and active positions will be listed out on this left-hand side. These are the jobs that candidates can apply to from the careers page and the job boards once everything is up and running. But the right-hand side are those stages of the hiring process in which you'll status candidates. Now, those stages are listed out up at the top for you, and these stages are flexible and can be skipped at any point. Now, they are deeply linked to your analytics within Newton, so you want to make sure that you're at least moving candidates around at the right point in time. This can help you identify bottlenecks in your hiring process and find those stages where candidates might be spending a little bit too much time in. Now, when it comes to the organization or display of your home dashboard here, these are completely per user settings that you can adjust. So if you're looking to reorganize your home dashboard, you'll actually come down here to this little blue options link in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Once you click on options, you'll see this pop-up window will appear. You can readjust the information like removing the job ID if you don't want to reference that info. You can also select how many jobs you would see per page, going from 10 to 50, depending on how many you had open at the moment. And then you can sort your active positions by job title, budget group, date activated old to new, or new to old. So if I switch those settings around and then click save, you'll see that my jobs were reordered on this left-hand side, and then the job ID was removed from underneath each job title since I don't need that information right up front. But again, completely per user settings here, so you can always adjust that at any point. But that was all I wanted to cover on the home dashboard at the moment. You'll dive a lot deeper into that in those next set of trainings. Any questions though on what we covered so far?
No.
Awesome. And then Jamie, I had a quick process question for you. Do you typically do that initial review on candidates when they first apply, or is that
Yes.
will fall on your hiring managers? Okay, perfect. I'll make note that you do that initial review, and we will show you how to do that on those next trainings. All right, so I have your own account pulled up inside of Newton. I've been pulling in your active positions currently listed on your careers page. A little bit later on in the training, I'll come back to this home dashboard and show you how to make updates to these active positions. But for right now, I want to focus on those admin permissions that you have access to at the top navigation menu. So Jamie, as the admin, when you first click on this button, the first page you're brought to is the list of users in the account. Now, we haven't sent over any information or access to Newton at this point in time. We leave that all up to your discretion. We typically provide access to the hiring managers once that training is conducted for them with your customer success manager. That way they're at least trained up accordingly. But for you two here today, I'll go ahead and send over both of your invite emails. So you have about 2 pages worth of users here. Might be helpful to use this search bar up at the top when looking for a certain user. For you as the administrator, I'll select your role as that admin and then click on the search icon. That will bring me to your account, and I will just click on it here to access your user profile. Now that everything is set up and ready to go, I'll go ahead and unlock your account. And then right here in the middle of the page, you'll see this blue link that says send it in by email. Press this link and click send. That will prompt an email to go out to you coming from support@newtonsoftware.com. So sometimes these emails can get flagged by spam. If you both don't receive this in the next 30 minutes to maybe an hour or so, check your spam folder and let us know if you did not receive it at all. Now, when we go back to that users list, if you've searched for a specific user, you'll have to click reset here in order to bring that full list of users back into view. Now, Beth, I'm going to search for your name by just typing it in. And we have 2 different, or looks like 3 different users with Beth in their name. But I will select your name here. And then I'll send out that same invite email to you as well. For the create a user portion, if you ever need to add in a new user or hiring manager, you'll just come over to the submenu and you only need to provide 3 pieces of information to create their account. Just their first name, last name, and email. The rest of these pieces of information, they are helpful to have on the back end for quick reference, but every user can add this information on their own. Now, 99% of the time when you're creating a new user, you'll be creating a standard or a licensed user there. Standard users are free and unlimited, but they tend to be your hiring managers or anyone you want involved in that process. Now, Beth, we set you up as an executive user in Newton. You have this box checked off in your profile. This gives you access into all of the open positions without being assigned on a job-by-job basis. Standard users by default will have to be assigned to a job in order to see candidates' comments and notes, resumes, or applications for those positions. So if you need to give anyone else this standard user permission, or this executive user permission, you can just check this box in their profile and they can access all of those jobs as well. Now I'm going to back out of this page just in case you don't need to create a new admin or a new user inside of Newton, but you can also see and search by those individuals that are set up as standard executives. So Beth, you, Rita, Yvette, and Kimberly will be able to access all of those open positions in Newton here.
Right.
Now, any questions on the list of users before I jump into company settings?
No.
Okay, good. For company settings, we have a lot of menu items on this left-hand side that I won't be going over with you today. We've set you up with best practices, so feel free to take a look after the call and how you can further customize the account. I will cover these first 3 items up at the top just to get you started. For your locations, we pulled in that list from the workbook. Whenever you create a job, you'll file it under a location, and Newton is integrated with the free and limited job boards of Indeed, LinkedIn, and Glassdoor. They will use the zip code associated with that location to post your positions in the search results within a 50-mile radius of that zip code. So you will have all of these locations to choose from. You can always edit these if needed, delete them out if they're no longer needed, or if you're continuing to open up new facilities, you can always create new locations. And then down below, we have your list of departments. Every time you create a job, you'll also file it under department. But these are really meant for the benefit of the candidates, just really helping organize those positions on the careers page. But you can also edit these, delete out any departments, or create new ones entirely. Then the last item here is your sources list. Quick process question for you. Do you happen to post out to any other job boards or sources that we're not integrated with? This might be something like ZipRecruiter, local employment boards, or anything along those lines.
Yes, yep, colleges, local employment boards.
Perfect. So we give you the ability to post to those third-party job boards using what we call tracking links in Newton. So for college job boards, for any local employment boards, you want to actually create that as a source on the back end here in this list. So we provide default sources. Some people use Career Builder, some post out on Craigslist. So you can always use these sources as well. But to create your own unique source, you just come up to the top here and click on Create a New Source, and then just give it a title to refer to it as. So if you just wanted to create one local employment board source, you can actually do so. Or you can get a little bit more specific. So if one is in Moise, you could have it different locations, specify those sources a little bit more. And then for college job boards, if you use Handshake, you could call it Handshake. Or you could, again, get a little bit more specific and create one for different colleges that you post out to. Once you create it as a source on the back end here, on the job level, you can generate that tracking link. So I will include some information in my recap email to help walk you through this process once more. First step is just to create that source, and then in a few moments, I'll actually show you how to generate the tracking link.
Okay.
Any questions on that or what we covered here in the company settings?
No.
Is there anything we need to do, Emily, to like the unemployment board? Right now it scrapes our website.
Okay.
Is there any, like if we were to go in and create this as a source, would we be posting to them or would they be scraping our site?
If you're wanting to keep track of how many candidates are coming from Newton, I would recommend creating those postings yourself and including the tracking link. But if you have the ability to work with your local employment board, provide them those tracking links for those different positions, they could still scrape those and then just add in the tracking links from there. That will ensure every candidate is redirected back to your careers page and we keep track of that source.
Okay, so this would be tracking where the candidates come from.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So if they are finding you on that local employment board, once they apply, it'll actually mark that as the source with tracking links.
Okay, so the candidate wouldn't exactly be saying, I was referred by Craigslist.
Mm-hmm.
The system
Exactly.
would track that based on the URL.
Yep.
Okay.
And then if you wanted to get or take this a little bit further, if you ever want to add in a field into your application that says, how did you hear about us? We can add in these sources as options for candidates to choose from. So it's just that second verification for you that that's where they actually came from as well. So tracking links will be one way, and then we can also track it through the applications.
Okay.
So I will make note that you have a local employment board that scrapes your jobs, just so your customer success manager will know about that as well. And then tracking links will ensure those candidates are kept track of in terms of where they came from. All right. Now with the careers page section up next, where I wanted to jump into, this is what we actually call the set it and forget it tab in Newton. So it's pretty heavily coded by us here at Newton, and this is where your iframe settings will live. So after everything is set up, if you ever need to make adjustments to the styling of your iframe or your application in Newton, you'll want to get in touch with us here at Newton, and we'd be happy to make those changes for you, just ensuring that everything is coded properly to appear on that page. Now, there are a few things that you can adjust on this left-hand side that won't break anything on your page. The first item is how those jobs are displayed there. So by default, we will group jobs by department. If it makes a little bit more sense to list them alphabetically, by a list of location, or group by state or city, you can adjust any of these settings in this section, and it won't break anything on your page. So feel free to adjust that moving forward. Now, we also have a feature down here below that prevents candidates from applying to the same job more than once. If this is something that you frequently run into, we have a feature that will prevent candidates from applying to the same job more than one time. To enable this feature, we just flip that switch, provide an HR contact email, and then we'll be good to go.
Mm-hmm.
But if this is something that you run into, I can enable it for you while I'm here now.
Yeah, you can go ahead and enable it.
Awesome. I will go ahead and pull in the applications email that we just had set up. So we'll plug that in, but if you ever need to update that email address, feel free to do so. Now down below, this is also where your thanks for applying message will live. This is going to be that quick pop-up message on the careers page after candidates click submit. So this is just that gut check for them that everything went through. And if you wanted to update this information or content, feel free to do so right here in this box, and no need to worry about coding. Now that's all I wanted to cover here. So if you have any questions on this section, don't hesitate to reach out. We can also walk you through things going forward. For your corporate email settings, these live in this next tab to the right. So this is where I've dropped in your application at dmgoodwill.org. This will be used as your corporate email address, and we've also plugged in that signature for that as well. Now, every time you go to send out a thank you letter to a candidate, officially passing on them in the hiring process, those emails will come from your corporate email address. So we've added in some default templates just to get you started with thank you letters. More than welcome to update these to reflect more of your own language, or just use them as is. But then we also have your thanks for applying email that we went over on our kickoff call together. So down here at the bottom, this should look familiar, but of course you can always make updates to this template. If you wanted to add in an autofill token down here at the bottom, like the job department, you can copy that curly Q bracket into the template above, and Newton will fill out that information for you. But we will automatically fill out all of the autofill tokens listed currently, and we will automatically send this email to every candidate that applies. So for the thank you letters officially used to pass on candidates in the hiring process, Jamie, do you allow your hiring managers to send out thank you letters, or do you want to reserve that for you only as the admin?
We don't currently have our hiring managers do that, and I'll have to talk with Beth to see what her thoughts are on going forward with that.
Perfect. So we can have it either or. It's an all or nothing setting. So it's either you as the admin or all of your hiring managers. If you give it to the hiring managers, they would use the templates that you set up and structure here in the corporate email settings, but they would be able to send out those emails on their own. So I will make note that you'll just review this process on those next trainings, discuss it with Beth a little bit more, but we can set it up either way.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we bring in your hiring managers, we'll train them up accordingly as well.
Okay.
Now, other than that, we're going to jump into the approval features next. These are more higher level and advanced features in Newton. Now, they'll drastically change the functionality of your account, so we do require trainings for you to attend in order to enable them in Newton. I made note that you were interested in learning more about all of these features in the account, so I will register you for the job approval, offer approval, and offer letter features here. Once you attend those trainings and are ready to configure those backend settings, just reach out to anyone here at Newton, and we'd be able to flip that switch on the backend for you. Just
Okay.
as a reminder, though, these give your hiring managers or standard users the ability to submit requests for job details to be approved and for offer details to be approved before any action is taken.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get you into those trainings, and then completely up to you whether or not you enable them.
Okay.
All right, so I will take care of that after the call. And then in the next tab, we have all of your EEO and OFCCP information. So this is where that sensitive information is housed in Newton. Right up top here, you'll see we are collecting EEO information pre-hire. And then we have our reasons for non-selection and minimum qualification questions. These are both part of your reasons for passing on candidates, so are also housed in this section. For your reasons for non-selection, these are the reasons that you'll have to pass on a candidate, as you have to select a reason why. You can't simply pass for the sake of passing, but these are only for your internal reference. Candidates will never know that they lacked interpersonal or communication skills. But if you needed to add onto this list and add in your own custom reasons, you can do so right above here. And then with the minimum qualification questions, these are typically referred to as knockout questions. They will systematically pass on a candidate if they did not select the acceptable answer, as they did not meet your very minimum qualification for that position. So here inside the system, Jamie, as the admin, you would create the questions on your own right here in the section. You would create the question and choose the acceptable answer. Any candidate that did not select the acceptable answer would still have the same candidate experience as everyone else. They'll never know that they were immediately passed on, but when it comes to that initial review, you won't be prompted to review this candidate since they did not meet your very minimum qualification.
Mm-hmm.
So you can create these, create a bulk list or library of questions to choose from, but then you kind of assign this on a job-by-job basis. So if these are questions that might be helpful for certain positions, but not all of them, you can assign them to specific jobs that you have.
Okay.
So I can turn this on for you while I'm here now. Nothing will actually occur in the account until you create the questions and then assign them to a job. But if you think you'd like to use this feature, I can turn it on while I'm here.
Yes.
Sounds good. So just make sure you're wording those questions carefully and not confusing any candidates, but feel free to start building out those questions here in your EEO section, and then in a few moments I'll show you how to assign them.
Okay.
And it also includes some information in my recap email for you. Any questions though on this EEO section before I jump into interviews?
I don't think so.
Sounds good. Let me know if anything starts to come up. In our interviews tab, right up top here, we'll go ahead and follow up with Matthew to get that interview scheduling tool set up for your account. Now, this is a really easy tool to get enabled for you all, so we'll take care of that for you. But this is what allows you to pull in that free and busy status right within Newton. So when you're going to schedule interviews on behalf of your hiring managers, you can pull in that information right within Newton and have that whole process a bit easier for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I will follow up with Matthew on this and then make sure this is set up, but not something that we need to have set up in order to go live. Now, interview scorecards is another feature that we have in the account in this section. This feature allows you to collect quantitative and qualitative data on your candidates and even those hiring managers who are conducting interviews for you. Now, we've enabled default settings that you're more than welcome to use, and we've also provided templated scorecards as well. So these may or may not fit the positions you recruit for. We've seen a customer service rep used for a lot of customer-facing roles. But if you wanted to create custom scorecards for different positions, hiring managers, departments, or anything along those lines, you can create custom scorecards here, and then you can assign them at different points in the hiring process. So we offer another training on this feature as well that I can get you into. This will show you how to create the custom scorecards and how to get the most out of this feature on the back end.
Sure.
Okay, so I will get you into that training. Completely up to you how far you want to take this feature, but feel free to delete out any of our templated ones. We'll get you into that training so you know how to create the custom ones. But if you need assistance moving forward, just let us know.
Okay.
Under agencies, though, we have our last tab I wanted to cover with you. Quick process question. Do you ever work with outside recruiting agencies to help fill positions from time to time?
Yes.
Okay, so we have an agency manager feature that would help that relationship when that point in time comes. So I will make note for your customer success manager that you use agencies from time to time, and we'll show you how this feature works.
Okay.
Now, any questions on those admin settings before I move on to show you how to create a job?
No.
All right, sounds good. So I will create a job in my demo account here, just making sure we're doing it in my safe environment. But the process for you is still the same. You will just come up top to the navigation menu and click on Create a Job. Now, the first step for you all is just to fill out the required information on the left-hand side. We'll start with our job title, and I will type in Office Manager here. And we'll work our way down here. I'll skip over the job ID as Newton will generate one for me. And then I will go ahead and select a location to file this position underneath, as well as a department. Now, if you ever need to add in a new location or department on the fly, you can use one of these two blue plus buttons, and Newton will add those new titles to the back-end list for you. Now, we also will need to select an EO category for each position. Professionals is just our catch-all, so I'll show you how to update those categories for the jobs I added in for you. Now, we'll also have two different kinds of applications set up on your account. We're going to have our standard application, which is keeping everything really short and sweet for the candidates, capturing that basic information and getting their foot in the door. But we also built out a second application where it asks for employee history and a little bit more content right up front. So when we get into your account, I'll show you how to update the application that is assigned for each position. In my demo account, though, I'll just select my management application I built out. Further down here on the left-hand side, this is where you'll assign key people to manage this job. Now, Newton was meant to be collaborative. You can assign as many hiring managers as you'd like. You just identify those individuals on the back end here and click Save. For the recruiter here, this is going to be limited to you, Jamie, as the admin within Newton. You can set yourself up as a recruiter if you wanted to maintain oversight in the hiring process, but not really be responsible for that ultimate hiring decision. So it allows you to take the back end seat while still maintaining oversight. But of course, if you need to be a hiring manager, feel free to assign yourself as one.
Okay.
Now we have two other ways to assign individuals down below. So we have executives on the job level here. Now back in the admin tab under the users list, I showed you where you could check a box for individuals like Beth, who needs access to all of those open positions in Newton. But say you had a store manager or a department head that's just eager to maintain oversight in one or two positions in Newton, you can also assign executives on the job level here. So if I wanted to switch David Wallace to this executive role, he would only maintain full viewing rights for my one office manager position. So two different ways to assign executives there. And then we also have team members. Now, team members are like hiring managers. They can participate in the hiring process, read and write comments, and help conduct interviews. Now, they would not be able to email candidates from the system and wouldn't receive notifications in the hiring process. And they will not be able to access any kind of budgetary information if you set this up above. So right above this section, we have our budget information fields. Now this section goes hand in hand with our job approval feature. So you'll learn more about this section on that training, but this really acts as an extension of a job requisition form where you can keep track of certain pieces of information like job type. Is this a replacement hire? What are the salary and bonus ranges that we're offering for this position? Any information tracked here in this section would never appear externally for candidates to see. And then team members down below, if they're assigned as a team member for those positions, they wouldn't see that budgetary information either. So a few different ways to assign individuals there. Now, once you have the left-hand side filled out, next step is just drop in that job description. So I pulled mine over from a Word document, and although this job description looks like it's formatted perfectly fine, since I pulled all over this content from Word, the formatting that you're looking at right now is coming over from Word. Before we ever post out a job externally for the very first time from Newton, we want to go ahead and remove all of that formatting before posting that job out. To remove all the formatting, you would just click on this link in the top right-hand corner. and that would just leave you with plain text. So now that we're in here creating the job in Newton, I can add in this formatting back in this window. So whenever you create a job for the very first time, you'll need to remove all the formatting and add it back in. Although this looks like a Word editor right over here, this is actually an HTML editor. So it's doing a little magic on the back end. If I click on this HTML button, this is just going to show you what it's doing on the back end for you. It's reformatting that job description to appear in HTML. Now you'll only need to do this for the first job, or you'll only need to do this the very first time when you create a position in Newton. Once you create a job, if you're looking to repost it to a different location or maybe reactivate that job later on, I'll show you how to clone a position in Newton, because once you create a job, you're really building out that database or library of positions you can refer back to. So I'll show you how to clone a job, but only for those very first positions that you create in Newton will you need to remove all the formatting. Now, once you're ready to move forward with this position, you have two different options. You can save this job as a draft if you did not want to post it out externally just yet. And then we can also move forward to this next button to move on to step 2. Now, step 2 will show you where your job is posted out to. We'll post to your careers page, and if you wanted to quickly preview that job on your site, you can use this click link here, just giving yourself that gut check that everything was removed and reformatted. Now, we will also post to Indeed, LinkedIn, and Glassdoor automatically for you. Now, before we activate your account here and push your jobs out from Newton, if you have any old jobs out on these 3 job boards, you want to go ahead and take those down. This will ensure that we are not flagged as a duplicate position on these 3 job boards and ensure that candidates can only find those positions coming from Newton. So this is something that I will remind you of in my recap email as well.
Okay.
Is there any, like, we've had issues in the past, and Jamie, you may have to speak to this because I don't remember the specifics, but like Indeed will pick our stuff up even after we've taken it down. Do you have any recommendations for us on how to handle like the Indeed hangover, so to speak?
So with Indeed, I'm not sure why they would be pulling in your positions from anywhere else. Usually what they'll have you do is create the jobs manually for their free and limited job boards. But if for whatever reason they are pulling in duplicate positions, we'll always work with them to take down those duplicates and only have the job coming from Newton listed there. Okay. But if we do have any issues, let us know at any point, and we're happy to work with you and make sure everything's flowing out appropriately. Now with the next step link here in the top right hand corner of the window, this is where you can assign those minimum qualification questions. So once you create that list or library in the back end, Jamie, you'll see all of those options appearing in this window. You can have defaults like, are you 18 years of age or older? Those will automatically be assigned to every position, but I can add in any other questions I see fit. Now, once I have my minimum qualification questions assigned, I can activate the job, but all of the information that we're creating here and setting up can be updated later on as well. So nothing's really set in stone.
Okay.
Once I click on activate though, that'll push my job out externally to the job boards and the careers page. And I come back into my home dashboard and we have my office manager listed out as a job I'm recruiting for. So that was just the 3-step process for creating a job the very first time in Newton. Did you two have any questions on that process?
I had a minor question about how to list. So when I'm creating a position in our retail department for, let's say, store clerk, the store manager I would list as the hiring manager, but then the district manager would also want to maintain oversight. So is that where you would suggest I would label the district manager as an executive, or would I list them as a second hiring manager?
If they didn't really want to be involved in the hiring process, I would set them up as an executive here. So I'll show you how to do that on the job level. So once you create a job, you can also assign individuals right here in this process. You know, here at the bottom, you can assign them. But even after you create a job, you can always update those individuals and how they're assigned. So to make any edits to your active positions, you would hover over this job title in the account, and this little pop-up window would appear. To make any edits inside of Newton for the jobs, you'll jump into this first item of job info window. What this will do is open up the second window where you can edit the job title here, maybe adjust the location. I did my best to pull over what was listed, and then the department as well. You'll find the EEO category, so if professionals just doesn't fit, you can always update that. And then this is also where that application lives. So over here on the right-hand side, you'll see all the key people that we assigned to the job to start. I assigned you as that hiring manager, so when you have access, what I would recommend is come in here, assign that true hiring manager that will manage the position and make the ultimate hiring decision. I believe you said it was your store manager. But for that individual who just wants to maintain oversight, go ahead and select them as an executive here on the job level. So let's pretend that it was Austin. We can assign Austin as an executive for just this one position.
Got it.
And then you could assign them as team members, but they wouldn't see all the information for the position. So I would say executives would be the best fit here, but you can always adjust people later on.
Okay.
Now, one other thing I wanted to show you here is the job status for Newton. So for the positions we pulled in, if some of these jobs are no longer active, I would recommend placing them into draft status. That'll maintain all the information on the back end for you and allow you to reactivate it later on. Now going forward, if you actually close or fill a position, you'll want to use these two options down below. Close if you didn't actually fill the position and hire anyone, and then filled if you actually hired someone on. These will capture all the analytics for your position and pull the jobs down at that point. Now on the left-hand side, we have job postings. And actually, let me go ahead and refresh your account since we turned on minimum qualifications. You'll actually see that as an option on that left-hand side as well. So back in that job info window, we have job postings and now minimum qualifications.
Got it.
Under job postings, though, this is where you'll actually be able to enable the Facebook or allow to post positions to Facebook. So down here at the bottom, once we have your iframe set up and the careers page connected, you can set up our Facebook integration. I'll send information over in my recap email for you, but if you wanted to post a job out to Facebook, click on this box and it'll post it out to your Facebook page for you. All of those candidates will come into Newton once they've applied. If you have any questions on the Facebook application and that integration, pass it over to your Facebook administrator, and if they have any questions, they can always reach out.
Okay.
For our tracking links, this is where you'll be able to generate those tracking links for your positions. Once you create that source on the back end, under company settings, you'll see that unique source listed out here. I'll use Career Builder as an example. If you want to post out to Career Builder, you'll just select that source, click on Create a Tracking Link. Now this won't post your position out to Career Builder, but it will give you a unique link to copy from this window. So I'll click on Copy Link, and this will give me two different tracking links to use. The first tracking link will lead candidates right into that job description page, while the second link will lead them right into the job application and the EEO questionnaire. So you can use either one of these two links, and if that job board does not have a field for you to drop the tracking link in, just leave it somewhere at the bottom of the job posting saying any interested candidates, please click on the link below to apply.
Got it.
And then we also offer short links depending on what you would prefer to use. Both function the same, but just include it somewhere in that job description or posting, and that'll redirect candidates back into Newton to apply. And you can create as many tracking links as you'd like. Just make sure you're copying the appropriate link when including it on that source. And I'm going to delete those out so you can practice with that later on. And then under minimum qualification questions, once you assign or create those questions on the back end, you'll be able to assign them on a job-by-job basis. So you'll have that list or library appearing here as options for you to choose from. You'll just check off those boxes and assign them as needed. Now for cloning a job, this is another area I wanted to show you. If you ever needed to reopen this part-time store clerk for the same location or a different location, or maybe reactivate the job at a later date, you wouldn't have to go through that three-step process again to create the job. You can come into the job info window, even if the job is closed out, click on clone this job, and this will duplicate everything for you on this position. It'll copy over all of the settings on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So you could post this to a different location, like Goodwill. You could readjust the budgetary information or those individuals assigned. But you'll see here on the job description, everything is already perfectly reformatted for your careers page. So this allows you to repost a position with a couple clicks of a button. I'm going to back out of this process so I don't create a new job for you. And then with that, I wanted to show you more of your personal settings in the Help tab. But any questions on making edits to your active positions before I move forward?
No.
All right, sounds good. Now, back in my demo account for your personal settings, everyone has access to their personal settings through this gears icon in the top right-hand corner of the window. First area you'll want to jump into is notification settings. Now, for your notifications, especially with you as the admin, you'll want to spend a few moments in here and just ensure you're being notified exactly the way you'd like, especially if you're turning on additional features or using more of the account. But everyone has access to their own notification settings as well. We have two different types here. We have in-Newton notifications. Now, these will only appear within the account and this bell icon in your notification newsfeed. So we also have traditional email alerts set up for maybe those individuals who aren't living day-to-day within the system. Once your hiring managers are brought in, it'll be good to have these both checked off for their permissions. That way, if they're not living day-to-day in Newton, they'll still receive email alerts to notify them of new site applicants. And then under email settings, this is where everyone's personal email settings will live. This is where you'd add in your personal email signature. And for you, Jamie, as the admin, you have access to the corporate level email settings under the admin tab and email templates, but through the gears icon is where your personal settings live.
Okay.
So under my templates, this is where you'll want to build out any unique personal email templates or make updates to the ones we added in here for you. For these default templates, we've added in some autofill tokens throughout, so you can start using these the day you have access to Newton. But if you wanted to make updates or change anything around, notice the longer list of autofill tokens you can use here in your personal settings. Now, if you ever create a new email template and you want to share it out with anyone else in your organization, you can click on Share this template in the top right-hand corner of the window, and other users can access that as well.
Okay.
Now, under Account Info, last area here in Personal Settings, this is just where you can find your personal information. If anyone needs to update their first or last name as used in Newton, or they wanted to add in that direct line mobile or title, they can do so right here in this field. And then for our knowledge base, we have built out an extensive knowledge base for you to use at any point in the future. Knowing that we threw a lot of information at you today, if you find yourself having some quick questions, wanting to look into a feature in Newton, or ever need to get in touch with our support team, you want to come up top here, click on Help from this top navigation menu, and we will redirect you to our knowledge base, where we have an article for nearly everything in the system. You can come up top and type in a keyword like tracking links. Need a refresher on that later on. We'll show you all the articles that have to do with that topic in Newton. Now, further down, we also have the ability to browse by feature. So as you use more of Newton, if you ever wanted to learn about Agency Manager before we loop you in with that CSM, you can do so. We have information requests and all these features that are available to you at any point. So you can jump into this section, learn more about bulk actions or candidate deduplication. And the ones with the little camera icon down here at the bottom, they actually have recorded trainings there, so it'll walk you through that whole process as well. Now, for you as the admin, we have a specific admin resources section. So if, again, you need a refresher after our Intro to Newton training today, you'll want to come into this section, and you'll see all of the articles for the topics we discussed. So just a great resource for you to rely on. Need some quick questions. But we also have a whole section built out for your hiring managers as well. So once they have access to Newton, you can send them in this direction for a bit of self-help. Now, you can always reach out to our support team if you can't find an answer within our knowledge base, if you can't get in touch with your customer success manager, or you just need additional assistance for technical difficulties. We have their direct line listed out here. You can give them a quick email. And then if you do run into technical issues that we need to look into, your candidate information is redacted in Newton. So you'll actually provide our support team access to view those candidate details, but this is something that you, Jamie, can only do as the admin. It'll be an option within your personal settings and that gears icon. It'll just be a 24 hours worth of support access.
Mm-hmm.
Now, under upcoming events, we also have additional training opportunities that I wanted to highlight. Under Feature Classroom here, this is where you'll find those additional training opportunities on our approval features, offer letters, and interview scorecards. Now, I will register you for these sessions and the next sessions that we offer. If that session does not work well for your calendar and you wanted to attend another live one, you can re-register here in this section, or keep an eye out for our recap emails, and we'll give you all the information you need there. And then for our expert sessions, this is another training opportunity we offer. Next item down. For expert sessions, these are bigger topics on recruiting in Newton in general. And we just wrapped up our last session before the holiday season. So if you wanted to get a notification of our schedule for 2019, you can add your name to our mailing list and we'll let you know as we have that schedule announced. But before then, we also have built out an extensive library of our past sessions. So you'll see our second What Your Reports Aren't Telling You added to our expert session library. But if at any point you're looking to learn how to go paperless with Newton, identifying hiring bottlenecks, or building a better candidate journey, all of these sessions are available to you at any point in the future. You can click on register and watch on demand, and we'll show you that whole session there. So they're just a great way to become more of experts in Newton. That's something that your hiring managers would attend, but something you and Beth can definitely attend and see how you can use more of Newton to become more of that expert. But other than that, that was really all I wanted to cover on today's training, really focusing on that basic and foundational structure of using the account. Did you two have any questions for me or anything you wanted to review before we wrap things up?
I just had one back to the identifying who has access to different job posts. So can we go back to that screen?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm just getting over there. There we go.
Okay,
And
we
then
go into,
job info window here.
Yep. So there's two different types of executives, right? So there's the executives in the system, like for Newton, and that's Kimberly, Yvette, Rita, Beth. And then there's executives that I can identify on just a job post. So the executive for this job post.
Exactly. And that's where you would come into the job info window to assign them.
Okay. So they don't have to be an executive in Newton per se to be an executive on a post.
Exactly. Yep. These individuals like Kimberly. Yeah, these individuals like Kimberly, Yvette, Rita, and Beth, they'll always be listed here as executives since they are executive users in Newton. But say you had, just one person to add in as an executive for this job, that's where you'd come into the job info window and assign someone like Allison, Angie, or Austin, someone along those lines.
Perfect. Yep. Okay.
So at any point, you can always adjust their settings as well and move those around. But other than that, what I'll do here is go ahead and end that recording, and then we'll discuss those next steps.